Apple announced its Vision Pro headset on June 5, 2023. It's available now in the US and costs $3,499 for the 256GB model. Pre-orders opened on January 19 and the headset began shipping on February 2. Availability and pricing for other markets is yet to be confirmed, but Apple says that will follow in 2025. So what do you get for your $3,499? Essentially, in the box is everything you need to put on and start using the Vision Pro. In order of importance, there's the Vision Pro system, a battery with attached cable, USB-C charge cable and 30-watt adapter, the Solo knit band, a dual loop band, 2 light seals cushions, a fabric cover, a polishing cloth. The only thing that's not included, and which you might need, as I did, are the Zeiss prescription lens inserts. These will run you $99 for reading glass lenses and $149 for full prescription lenses, which is what I need. The Vision Pro might be unusable for those with particular sight issues. Apple can let you know up front if that's likely to be the case. The headgear is, in some ways, typical goggle size. It's roughly 6 inches wide by almost 4 inches deep from the edge of the light seal to the front of the glass and almost 4 inches tall. Perhaps the most important spec of all, though, is the weight. Depending on which bands you use, the Vision Pro clocks in at 1.3 to 1.4 pounds, or 600 to 650 grams. The external battery, which I kept either in my pocket, on the table, or on the couch next to me, weighs just over 3/4 of a pound, or around 350 grams. Thank goodness Apple opted to not integrate the battery in its first mixed reality headset. Apple's Vision Pro works as well as it does, not only because of the design and remarkably intuitive interface. As always, it's what's inside that really counts. At its heart is the M2 chip, a second-generation piece of Apple silicon, featuring an 8-core CPU and a 10-core GPU that powers, for instance, the most recent MacBook Air. In my experience, this is a powerful chip that's well qualified to handle the demands of virtual and augmented reality. However, the M2 has the support of a new piece of Apple silicon, the R1 chip, which appears to be primarily in charge of managing those 4K screens and maintaining a 12-millisecond image update so that what you see is clear and buttersmooth. The Vision Pro's dual 4K micro-OLED displays with 23 million pixels are also industry-leading. My experience with the headset is that I get crystal clear imagery wherever I look, and at whatever size I make the screens. Apple has placed the stereo audio pod headphones on the stiff white rubber stems that feed into the Vision Pro frame, but they provide excellent spatial audio that's arguably as good as anything you might get with in-earbuds. If you place an app on your virtual left, the audio will come from that space. At one point, I took a screen that was playing video and slowly dragged it from one side of my space to the other, and the audio tracked perfectly from my left side to the middle and then to the right. I love summoning Siri because, in the Vision Pro, the digital assistant is embodied as a small floating glass orb. There are numerous cameras arrayed on the outside and inside of the Vision Pro. The two on the front handle the stereoscopic imagery that you can see and capture in photos and videos that you'll play back later and sometimes cry over. The Vision Pro supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3, the latter of which allowed me to easily connect the Vision Pro to Xbox controller, Magic Keyboard, and Magic Trackpad. The Vision Pro also displays a virtual keyboard that you can poke at in space. What's worse is that because you may not be looking at the keyboard when you type, the gaze control system can't really help you with accuracy. To be fair, I'm a terrible typist and do often look at the keyboard when touch typing. Ultimately, if I want to type within Vision OS while wearing the headset, I find that using the Magic Keyboard Apple sent me is best. Apple provided me with a 1TB Vision Pro test unit, which retails for $3,899. Apple pitches the Vision Pro as the first spatial computer, which makes me wonder why it didn't start with at least a ½ terabyte of storage as standard. I know people joke about the Vision Pro looking like a pair of hyped-up snow goggles. Maybe so, but I'd argue there's not one false note in this design. Apple, as it often does, chose the best material with a particular focus on weight. So, it's a mix of an aluminum body, magnesium, carbon fiber, and woven fabric. It's virtually all curved, with a gleaming glass front that protects the screen, marrying almost seamlessly with the body. There's a lot of technology packed into the Vision Pro, but Apple has made some effort to hide it. There are cameras cameras behind the glass and a set of them along the bottom edge that watch your face and hands. The AudioPod speakers that deliver near-perfect spatial audio are hidden behind stiff white rubber. Along one side of the top edge is a familiar piece of technology, the digital crown. When I first saw this, I wondered why Apple would pull an idea from Apple Watch and slap it on its newest device. But Apple considers the Vision Pro to be a wearable, so there's some logical continuity here. Plus, the digital crown turns out to be one incredibly useful and important piece of Vision Pro technology. The top button on the top left side, which is mostly used for spatial photos and video, gets far less use. There are some large vents on the top of the frame and a grill on the bottom, and these seem to work together to draw air in and flow it up and away from your face. The Vision Pro does get warm, but never so much so that it's uncomfortable. The Vision Pro and the Light Shield both curve to meet your face, but the crucial bit that makes this design work is the foamy light seal cushion. This rests on and follows the contours of your face, and it's about as comfortable as such a thing should be, though on occasion during my testing time, I've wondered if it should be either thicker or denser. Attaching the spatial computer to your head requires a band or a pair of bands. The default solo knit band is wide and can be adjusted via a dial to make it tighter or looser. It's never offered enough support for me, though. It's worth pausing here to remind you that the Vision Pro weighs 1.3 pounds. That's not particularly heavy in itself, but a typical set of eyeglasses might weigh 0.08 pounds. And now imagine attaching a pound of ground beef to your head. This experience is far more enjoyable, but it needs support. In contrast to the solo knit band, the dual loop band supports the headset on the back of your head and across the top of it, and I bet most people will prefer it over the more attractive solo knit version. You start on the home screen, or home view, which can be summoned with one press of the digital crown. This screen will look somewhat familiar to most Apple fans. There's a grid of pre-installed app icons, many of which match what you'll find on your iPad or iPhone, horizontally arrayed and floating in your real-world environment. You can use the pinch and wave gesture to move through multiple screens of apps. This is where the apps you install will live. You can download many more from the App Store, which now has more than 600 Vision OS apps. There's also access to Compatible Apps folder, which collected all the iOS and iPadOS apps I installed on Vision Pro. Apple claims that roughly 1 million iOS and iPadOS apps already work with Vision Pro, even if they were not designed for Visionos and the Vision Pro. It's not hard, though, to find ones, like most Google apps, that don't. In the case of Paramount Plus, which is not officially designed to work on the headset, it played, but I couldn't expand the live video to a full window. Apps that have not been custom built for Visionos were the ones most likely to crash. You're never looking directly at your surroundings. Instead, the cameras on the front deliver a clear video feed of your surroundings to your eyes. The Vision Pro is constantly keeping track of your gaze and your hands and fingers, so as long as your hands are in view of the cameras, you can control anything you see simply by looking and pinching. The headset will not register gestures made behind your head or if you drop your hands down to your side. I usually have my hands in my lap or raise them in front of my chest to pinch, drag, and zoom. To telegraph my intentions, I simply look at something and then pinch to, for instance, open an app. Once an app is open, you can move it about the room by grabbing a thin white bar at the bottom of the app screen. You just look at it, pinch to grab, and move it. You can also use this gesture to pull the app window closer or move it further away. On the bottom right corner is a curved bar that you can use to resize from, say, a big screen TV size to a wall size app. Inside an app you can look at, for instance, a photo in the Photo app and use both hands with a pinch gesture to zoom in and out. While working and playing in apps, you can have them superimposed onto your real world or select one of Apple's environments to change your surroundings. Once you've chosen an environment, you can twist the digital crown to turn the immersion up or down. Your hands don't disappear, but they're not resting on your knees and instead appear to be floating above the moon's surface. While the Vision Pro can drop you into virtual reality, it's smart enough to keep you connected to the outside world. When my wife started to speak to me during one immersive session, I could see her gradually appearing in front of me as we talk. On her side, she sees a video feed of my eyes on the front of the headset. Eyesight shows a video recreation of your eyes, based on what the camera sees inside the headset. The color is blue and purplish, and it can look, well, weird. If you can get your fit right, there's nothing quite like the experience of using the Vision Pro. Even when I wasn't wearing the headset, I found myself thinking about wearing and using it. It's enabled virtual reality and mixed reality machine, and I have much more to share there. But its ability to integrate my real-world work environment has been transformative for me. I've spent many hours now working in the Vision Pro. In my case, this showed me my MacBook Pro as an option, so I selected this and my desktop appeared before me as a huge 55-inch display. I could expand that to, say, 150 inches and then pull it close to me. This is the endless desktop I've always dreamed of, and none of this would work if every window, app, and bit of text weren't crystal clear. Just because I had my work desktop in front of me didn't mean I lost out on the rest of the Vision Pro experience. On my right, I had messages open, and, on my left, I had my photos. Sometimes, I would airdrop an image from the Vision Pro to my desktop, and then edit it in Photoshop on my giant virtual display. You can place apps anywhere you want around you, and not just in one space. Vision Pro understands your space, even different rooms in your home. One day I wanted to try JigSpace, an app that lets you manipulate and pull apart giant 3D objects like a race car. I wanted ample space to work, so I walked over to my den. The Vision Pro's pass-through capabilities are good enough that I was never worried about navigating around my home, though I did need to sometimes look down to see what was near my feet. I would not recommend wearing your Vision Pro while walking in the street, where you need to pay attention to curbs and other obstacles. Once in the den, I opened JigSpace and started pulling apart a jet engine. Whatever part I looked at, I could grab and drop somewhere around the room. Then I went back to work. Hours later I was writing about JigSpace, but wanted to double-check something in the interface. I couldn't find the app, so on a hunch, I got up and walked back into the den, and there was the app where I'd left it hours before. What we have here with spatial computing and the Vision Pro is, maybe for the first time, the concept of space-aware computing. I could perhaps leave apps all over my house, and the Vision Pro would remember where they were. To bring all open apps back into my local view, I just needed to hold down on the digital crown.